Yes, Luna's Slumber Islands are unfortunately locked behind a paywall, and it's not the only thing. Hey YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. There's been lots of confusion surrounding the 3.0 update for Animal Crossing New Horizons and what does and doesn't require a paid Nintendo Switch Online membership. So this got me thinking about what else isn't technically free in this free 3.0 update. So today we're going to break down everything in the 3.0 update that's locked behind a paywall. But first, please leave a like on the video and post Luna in the comments if you enjoy the content on this channel. It really helps out, and let's get straight into today's video. Now this isn't supposed to be a negative video, but more an informative breakdown of the 3.0 update content that's not technically free, or instead requires other things outside of the update to access the content, plus hopefully clear up some misconceptions I'm seeing a lot of in the comments along the way. So in no particular order, Slumber Islands. Now starting with the obvious Luna's Dream World and her new Slumber Islands. As you know, the 3.0 update will update Luna and expand her dream features to include Slumber Islands, which essentially allows players to have multiple islands. In short, whilst the free 3.0 update does add this, you do actually need a Nintendo Switch Online membership to access it. Now we have discussed this already in my What Nintendo Didn't Tell You video, but many weren't convinced it was true given Nintendo's own wording at the time wasn't the best, and people thought maybe it leans more towards inviting friends to islands rather than creating them, and it just led to a whole lot of confusion. However, I can confirm based on both the English and Japanese websites now that the entire Dream World feature requires Nintendo Switch Online. Plus, something I missed last time is that the UK trailer actually included a more prominent online screen disclaimer confirming this. Now for those wondering why, the reason is basically because the Slumber Islands will be stored in the cloud rather than on console, and you need NSO to access online in the cloud. Presumably this is to avoid lengthy loading times when 12 players come and go. So yeah, I guess this is the compromise we will make for little to no loading times when playing with others. Console games. Now another exciting feature coming in the 3.0 update is of course the various Nintendo consoles such as the NES or the Game Boy amongst others. Now these are obtained through normal in-game progress after decorating hotel rooms at the new resort hotel. At some point you will unlock the special section of the souvenir store and be able to order these items from Grams. Everyone is free to do this and obtain these items and place them wherever you want. However, their hidden feature when interacting with them isn't available to everyone. When you interact with these Nintendo collaboration items, you can of course boot into another game that originally released on that system and play it whilst in Animal Crossing. This has actually been a thing since the GameCube version where several NES games were available, so it's awesome to see it return. However, in New Horizons, these games are linked to Nintendo Switch Online. This means you have to have a valid subscription to interact with them. This is confirmed on the website where it states, and I quote, Nintendo Switch Online members can play select classic Nintendo titles in-game when interacting with specific Nintendo console items too. So yeah, the Nintendo items are free for everyone, but technically accessing the games in them are behind a paywall. Crossover items. Now one of the most exciting things coming to the 3.0 update to Animal Crossing New Horizons is of course the amount of collaboration or crossover items that will be available. Personally, I'm really excited for the LEGO items. I think they're super unique and honestly I'm tempted to make an entire LEGO island. Anyway, some of these crossover items in this free 3.0 update will require something extra to access them, and that is of course both the Zelda and Splatoon items. I've seen a few people think these will just appear in the catalogue like the Mario items did, but unfortunately that's not the case, and you will need to scan the corresponding Zelda or Splatoon amiibo figures for them to appear, which means again they're technically behind an additional paywall. That's not to say you can't scan a friend's amiibo though. Just remember, these items can't be catalogued, so even if you obtain them from Treasure Islands or something, they still won't be audible from your catalogue until an amiibo is scanned, which sucks. Switch 2. Now, before we take a look at something that will only be free for a short time when the 3.0 update launches before it moves behind a paywall, we have to highlight the most obvious, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition adds a few improvements and additions to New Horizons, including 4K graphics for better visuals, mouse controls for easier decorating, larger multiplayer sessions if you're lucky enough to have 12 friends, and even new items such as the megaphone, so you can call out to your villagers or call them names or something. Obviously, this edition is a paid upgrade, so if like me you're playing New Horizons on a Switch 2, we'll have to pay a few quid to access this content when it launches alongside the 3.0 update. You don't need to though, if you don't care about 4K graphics or you don't care where your villagers are. You could probably go without and you'll still have access to the free 3.0 update either way. Game chat and camera play. Next up we have game chat and camera play. As you know, the Nintendo Switch 2 is heavily focused around the ability to game chat with friends whilst playing games, and even works alongside cameras so you can insert yourself into compatible games. Well, currently game chat is free, so when the 3.0 update launches in the new year for New Horizons, you will be able to chat with friends. However, from March, the game chat service will become part of Nintendo Switch Online and therefore require a membership to use. The same goes for camera play. As you know, up to 4 people can visit each other in the 3.0 update and stream their faces above their characters if they want. However, this is also linked to NSO with the addition of needing a Switch camera too, so technically this feature has 2 paywalls. Now, I know this all sounds a little negative, but I wanted to make this video to clear up a lot of misconceptions I'm reading in the comments, so hopefully you found it informative. Ultimately, most of the paywalls we're talking about here are amiibo and Nintendo Switch Online, and most can be avoided if you play with friends or visit Treasure Island, so don't worry about it too much. There's still thousands of items, a whole new facility, and much more free for everyone on both systems, which is really cool and to many totally unexpected. So let's focus on that instead. If you appreciate these videos, be sure to post grams in the comments just to let me know, and if you see any negative comments, reply to them with a cucumber emoji to remind them cucumbers won't be behind a paywall. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.